Hey everybody,
Hey everybody, how
and
y'all
welcome
doing?
to Church Girls Chronicles.
Welcome to Church Girls Chronicles.
Thank you so much for joining us. We have been kind of MIA wow, so we thank you for jumping on with us tonight. I think we said in the last live that we did, we got a lot going on. So we thank you guys for your loyalty. We thank you so much for staying with us. We thank you for being with us tonight. There's a million other things you could possibly be doing, but you're
Yeah,
here with us on
thank
Chronicles.
you. Thank you. Yeah, we're excited that you are joining us tonight. Different format, a few things have changed, but we are so glad to be able to come back to you guys and share our thoughts and build our channel and uh, engage with you. So thank you again, and we're excited to be back.
And talk about new look and all of that. That's one of the reasons why we like had to take a hiatus because Instagram changed some of the rules and regulations on us. So we had to, we need some more followers. So if you guys can hop over to Instagram to our Church Girls Chronicles page and please like and follow us there. Find us at YouTube with the same name, Church Girls Chronicles, and TikTok. Ow. Uh,
And on
so
TikTok
if you
too.
go to we TikTok it out. So if you go to all three platforms, follow us at Church Girls Chronicles. We're building this brand, and we thank you so much for going along on the ride with us. So like, comment, share everywhere you could possibly find us on all three platforms: YouTube, Instagram, oh, and Facebook. Four, all of the big four: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Church Girls Chronicles. Please like, share, follow. Send out our older videos to people you know. Hit some 100s down there in the bottom and parts down there in the bottom. But yeah, follow us on all the platforms.
Yeah, and watch our videos. Just need you to watch it all the way through to the end or as much as you can. The more you do that, the more that it sends out to friends and people around us. So please just, do what you can to support us and to watch and to listen and subscribe.
Yeah. So we're back. We are back and we got some good stuff coming up. We
Yeah.
have a whole series. We like a good series. We
Okay.
I understand now. Like I used to always think, like, why do pastors always think they got to do a series? But it keeps them focused. Like it helps you understand what you're gonna be talking about. It kind of takes away that stress of trying to figure out what to talk about for a little while.
That's true.
But we got a little series coming up for the first these next 4 weeks in September,
Yeah.
called "Doing the Work." That is the name of the series, and the name of today, the topic for today is hindrances.
Yeah. Doing the
It's a
work is
bit
for sure. And hindrances is the thing that keeps us from doing it. So it's important.
it is important. And do you want to talk about what the other topics are going to be in the series?
And
N- Next week our topic is eating by faith. The other topic series is prioritizing rest, and the other topic is a healthy community.
yeah.
So that's what you got to look. That's what you have to look forward to. I'm kind of fast. I'm slow up.
Yeah. For the month of
Um,
September.
Yep, for the month of September in this doing the work series. I think sometimes we take so many things for granted, especially that rest piece. Can't wait to get there in week 3.
Mm,
I think we underestimate how the lack of rest and all of these things really affect us as a person.
yeah.
So let's get into it. As some folks I'm sure are coming in, as you're joining us, please like, comment, share, tell your friends we're here. Share
Yeah.
this with your family and coworkers. Share with the people you don't like. You
Share
know,
share with people need this information just because we're gonna talk about it from a real, regular, everyday space, not gonna come from a space that's, you know, unfamiliar. We're not gonna write from a tough from a space that is not our own experience. It's our own experience. And Alexa is in the background. She not my reminders
telling you
even
what
after I close.
to do.
Mhm.
Telling you what to
Yeah.
do. Mine might go out too because I had some reminders set for tonight. So I don't know. I can't mute myself to tell Alexa to stop all of
And
the
even if you do, I
reminders.
tried to tell her to stop. She told me she can't do that.
Why she be so snippy? She be making some
Um,
Alexa, cancel
well,
all
mine is a
reminders
guy.
for
I did that. I said exactly what you said to Alex. Mine
cancel.
is Alex.
Yeah. Your mine is definitely Alex, because
Yeah,
he
I'm
do a
not
lot of
talking to you.
Alex things.
Yeah. So I talked to Alex.
All
I
right,
told
so
Alex to reminders for the night, and he was like, "Well, you want me to do this tonight or all of them?" And I said, "Just tonight." He said, "Oh, I can't do that." I said, "Oh,
he be making stuff up. He told me one time, "I'm sorry, I can't do that." Like, I think
mm-mm.
I just asked him, like, light on or something. But anyway, technology is great when it works and not great when it don't. But doing the work, hindrances, let's talk about it.
Jump
Let's
in it."
talk about it. So first, I have a question, and I wrote this question down. I don't think I asked you this when we were first discussing the topic. But why do you think there is so much work to do?
I
And
think as
what's
human
your
beings,
take on why that's so bad?
what with our health or eating?
In general, whatever. I mean, because that's what we're talking about, doing the work, right? For
Oh,
getting
people
our
don't
health,
do.
getting more health.
That's a multifaceted question. The reality is, for me, when I think about it from the perspective of a therapist and working with people regularly, um, people genuinely have a hard time shifting their belief systems. 'Cause that's what it requires, right? When you learned and been told something, I used this analogy with somebody the other day. All your life, you've been told what your name is. Can't nobody tell you what your name is. Like, you gonna stand on it till Jesus comes, that this is my name. And that is something that somebody gave to you, told you, and over time, it was repeated. This is your name. This is your name. Just like the person you ended up calling dad or mom, you were told who they were, and it became a part of your system of understanding and belief. Boom. And I was saying to them, didn't you find it? I said, I always find it interesting that after all that Israel went through, when Joshua gets into when Jacob gets into the tussle with the angel, that it's indicative of a mindset shift, and then he changes his name, right? So the interesting thing is, you can't that's the core at the core of who you are. That's that belief system. This is who what I'm called, and this is what I answer to, and that's becoming this deep ingrained thing. But imagine God asking you to change that. That's horribly crazy, right? You've been called something all your
Mm,
life. That's how belief systems work, right?
mhm.
There are things that can embed better in you just as much as your name or any other experience or something that you've been told or you've been shared, you've seen, you experienced throughout your lifetime. It's ingrained in you. And so it's difficult to change it. It's like somebody telling you to change your name. Like, it changes, it's attached to your identity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I hear that, but that wasn't my question. My question was,
Well, you tell
why
why
do
is it
you
hard for people to do the work? That's why people don't like
no, that's not what I said. I said, why do you think things how do things get so bad? Why is there so much work to do? Why are when did our food get so terrible? And when how did our eating habits change so terribly? And like what made it so bad?
because we live in a society that we believe what they say. We do what we've learned. We walk in the patterns of how we were taught environmentally, culturally, all those things. And I just think it's gotten bad because that's what we've been conditioned to do. So they can feed us anything and we just kind of go along with it, right? You know, it got bad for me with my kids as a single parent because it's easier when I'm working a full time job, having to pick them up from daycare at 6 or 7 o'clock, and not having the energy always to go home and cook and stop by McDonald's. Now that never really was my thing. My kids didn't really eat fast food for kids. And that's not something that I did necessarily. But but there were times when I did do it. Like, I mean, and it was I had to, like, it may not have been McDonald's, but it was something, right? Something else quick, fast. Right, and so we get the culture says, the quicker, the better, from microwaving to the air frying to whatever, and so but we can't think them. Me and when we were on the phone with Talisha the other day, that really it resonated with me in the fact that in order for you to eat well and to do the right things concerning food, you have to take time. Okay. And that's not something we willing to do because that we're always about what's quicker, what's faster, what's easier, what makes our lives easier. And food has become a part of that thing. And that's why I think it's become so difficult for us to do the work and to come back from that because we're so conditioned uh, that quicker is easier is or faster makes more sense, but it's also not healthier because food
Right.
to do better with that it requires time, energy, um, research, um, knowing your own
But
body,
now it
being
requires
yourself.
research, right?
Hmm.
'Cause so you know what you do it, right? Because I think in the that, I think too, we also society where, at first everything was so commercial where out on my shelf a long time, right? So let's put all these things in it to preserve it, to make it, if you buy a box of cereal, 3 months from now, it's still gonna be good. I know somebody did an experiment one couple of people did an experiment one time with a McDonald's hamburger where they racked
And
it
they
up.
put
They put it in a
on
drawer and it didn't mold or anything. Right. So, it's not just, that's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. But it's not just, the fast life, quick society, but it's also that all that commercialism and everything that says, "Hey, this should last on my shelf a very long time." So, we don't really, because even we know that when we bought chicken when we were in the 1970s and 1980s, it wasn't those 8 and 10-pound chicken. We didn't buy chicken that big, but because people wanted bigger and they wanted cheaper and they wanted to last longer, they started pumping things with hormones and GMOs and all of these really terrible chemicals that are not good for us at all and are actually banned in other countries other than the US. And we'll talk about that more maybe next week. But things got bad for a lot of
yeah,
different reasons, and now we're in these cycles, in these habits that we now, as we get older, we're finding that we have to
yeah.
break, and it's hard.
Which goes back to what I said originally. It becomes a part of our
It
identity, it's who we become, our belief system. And so anything that we believe in and, sell ourselves out to wholeheartedly, how you gonna change that? It's like, some things are so ingrained in us and in our system of belief around food that it's like tells them change your name.
Yeah.
Like, it's like it's typical.
Yeah, food and exercise, like, we're in this society now where we're also forced to feel like we have to work these jobs in these offices where we're sedentary all the time and we're working longer hours and we're sitting more and we're not out moving. And then, of course, when we get off, now it's, oh my God, I'm tired, but I got to feed the kids and I got to find something quick. But I don't have time to exercise. And like just the amount of moments in the day that are taken away doing the wrong thing, right? Because we've been pushed to this mentality of gotta work, you gotta work, you gotta work. And the best jobs are these office jobs, right? Construction jobs and jobs that have you going outside and being outside and moving around. Those jobs don't pay well. They
Right.
don't pay as much. And so you go to school and you learn these things, and now you're in this office. Everything's kind of pushed to this very earn more, do less mentality. And it 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 wasn't always like that. I mean, it wasn't great when it wasn't, like Eden, right, when we were younger, but it wasn't as
Well, I
bad as
mean,
it is now.
with technology and industrialization comes easier living in certain instances comes easier living. So with technology and industrialization, life became simpler. Whereas, like you said, 40 years ago, that wasn't the case. And people had to get up and go do things. And then what's made it worse is this, you know, the pandemic hits, and now you don't even have to leave the house to work.
Yep,
Right? You don't even have to get up, get dressed, and go outside to work, right? You can do it working right from
right
home
in your
all
bed.
day, changing their shirt, you said, right in their bed. And so, um, not only are we not connecting with other people, but we're not encouraged to get up and be out and about, mobile. It's that you have to be a conscious choice to be
Yeah.
mobile, out connecting, moving your body. And so I think um, all of that has played into the lack of health that we're all, that the country is experiencing across the board. And not to mention all the other things like that, things that are going in food and all kinds of stuff. So it's just hard.
Hmm. And it's funny you said it because, well, not funny you say that, but one of the things you just said made me think about one of, at least for me, one of the hindrances is because now we have like social media and all of this technological, you know, it's like, so now everybody is trying to be on this health kick. Everybody got some advice. Everybody's trying to tell you what to juice, what to eat, what for
That's
supplements and
overwhelming.
vitamins to take. And it's like, it's
It
overwhelming.
is.
It's so much. You're like inundated now with information. So you
Right.
don't know
And that's the
what to
other part of the
believe.
work that is hard, right? Because
You
now you got to
know?
figure out, what do I need? What's important for me to have? That's a doctor's visit. That's knowing the right questions to ask. That's, doing the research for yourself for where you're deficient and where you struggle, and genetic research, all kinds of stuff. So that requires a whole nother level of engagement, both intellectually and emotionally, in order for you to be able to narrow down all the information for you.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
it for you. Because you don't if you just go by what they're telling you, you might take a supplement or do something that just doesn't work with your body. Sure. I said between the D3, the prebiotic, the probiotic, the multivitamin, the cotton, there is a list of
And the reason why
things,
we in America need all those
and it's like,
things, now the truth be told, right, is because we've taken it out of the foods that we eat every day. We're not eating the proper nutrition. So when you're eating balanced and proper and whole, those things shouldn't be outside your diet, right? On a regular, like you shouldn't be not getting this. Like that's what the whole packaging on the back of most foods is about. Your USDA, what the recommended doses of these things, supplements, vitamins, all these things, the recommended dosage to have in your life, and you know, is listed there. So but when you're doing all these other things to the food, and the food is, GMO, and so it's losing its nutritional value, and all those kinds of things are happening, we are even now becoming more deficient when it comes down to nutrients and supplements. And so it's this never-ending cycle of trying to replenish those things, you know what I mean? And figure out what it is I'm deficient in and what do I need, support in, and honey, it's just a hot mess.
and for me, that's the overwhelming part. Um, I I don't even know where to start sometimes, right? And so, especially when it all started kind of coming down the pike. And I was like, well, should I do this or should I do that? And I didn't know where to start. And so it just became a point where I was like, well, because let me say this, not for nothing, because like you said earlier, it's not like McDonald's and things are like our everyday go-tos as people. We just we weren't really raised on that kind of food. Our mom made sure she cooked food. She went to the grocery store. She shopped around the outside of the grocery store. If there was a gravy that needed made, she made it from scratch. If it was, they would not buy packaged gravies and
And we
packaged
grew our own
this,
food.
packaged, and our parents grew our vegetables that we had our own garden. So part of what I think helps us along is that upbringing, right? Because if I get hungry, I'm not gonna say, "Hey, let me just run over here to me." That's not my first thought at all. I can't even tell you the last time I had anything from it, right? So it's not so much that that kind of thing had to kind of get that we had to overcome because we don't, we talk about going to get something to eat. We like, well, what kind of food they got? That's just and we ask each
What is that?
did you, like, look at the menu? Like, or like,
For
we're
sure.
checking stuff out before we go. And we've always been like that. That's not a new thing for us, right? But I think the lifestyle busyness of things is what kind of stunted our,
Timing, yeah,
ability to pay attention to
for sure.
that. So, it's like, how do you combat that with, for me, it became trying to keep those things that I knew were the right to do and have time to do it.
Yeah. That's the part that, as you said, that totally, that's a key answer to the question of, like, why did it become so complicated and, why is it so much of a job? Because you really have to undo that thinking, that microwave culture thinking. Heck, and we call it the microwave culture, which is an actual thing that we use to speed up the processing of food. So it's interesting that, but it's the thing, right? It's what we become used to. I got on. I never forget, as a single mom, one of the things that I prided myself on was mastering the 30-minute meal, 45-minute meal. Oh, I was a master of a 30-minute meal. Oh, for sure.
Math, huh?
I
I
mastered
mean, I ain't gonna hold you. I probably tried it one time or yeah, I get that.
I mastered the 30-minute meal, and when I married, I remember, like, that was, like, a big thing for me. I found whole recipes for 30-minute meals. Issue with that, though, is, oh, yes. The issue with that was, um, it was involved always involved processed foods of some,
Oh,
right? So, I knew how to make the best salad in the world with meat and all the things, but I went and bought the grilled meat that was already prepackaged in it, say,
mhm.
so I would so I didn't have to grill the meat, and I would add it to the salad or whatever. Or, like, throwing things in crock pots that I didn't have to cook down, like, spaghetti is a other than spaghetti, and even spaghetti is a processed food 30-minute meal, because there are 2 ways I used to make spaghetti, but for the most part, I made it the 30-minute way, right? You pour the cans of
What's the third
spaghetti up,
way?
pour the cans, you stir fry whatever veggies you wanna add, you
Oh,
pour
with the
spaghetti,
ragu.
and you stir fry your meat, and you add that in there, you let that cook, and then you put in your processed noodles, right? But I also used to make spaghetti, because daddy used to bring me when I was, before I got married, and I lost those 40 pounds, spaghetti was my go-to meal twice a week. And what I would do is daddy would bring me a big old bag of tomatoes, and I would chop them up and stew them down slowly. And I would add fresh garlic and basil to it. And then um, I would get the, I wouldn't get the hard pasta. I would get the soft pasta that costs a little more money. Fresh
On the
pasta,
refrigerator.
refrigerated pasta, and I would use
Mhm.
that. And
Quick.
mixing it up was 30 minutes, but it took more care because I had to stew down my tomatoes. I didn't want to taste like stewed tomatoes. I wanted to taste like tomato sauce. Then I had to emulsify, everything. It took more time to make than did spaghetti from the cans and,
Mhm.
and from the box. So I lost 40 pounds eating spaghetti like that. I probably gained 40 pounds eating the other way because of the sodium, and my blood pressure was high and all the things. So, um, it's the difference between those 2 things, and recognizing, you know, when I'm making that other spaghetti, I'm making that spaghetti because I ain't got time.
Right.
When I'm doing
It's
this,
funny, yeah, with the pasta, the fresh pasta takes so much less time to cook.
it
It
does
only
take.
takes a couple of takes
Mhm,
time. And I've always bought I mean, I won't say I've always bought fresh pasta because it doesn't stay
doesn't keep well.
long. You buy
Yeah,
fresh pasta, you got to use it the same day
which
or
is why
within
I
a couple.
go to the store 2 to 3 times a week, because y'all used to
Right.
crack up time I was always in the grocery store. I used
Yeah,
to
yeah,
crack
you but
I love I used to love the grocery store, but I loved it
you're a
because,
grocery store go. Yeah.
yeah, I was a grocery store goer, but that was because I bought everything fresh. I didn't buy processed. I stopped buying processed food. I had hypertension at 28 years old, and they put me on medicine at 28. So it took me about 3 or 4 years for me to get it. Like, you can't be eating processed food. So when I stopped eat the only canned things in my house were things like spaghetti sauce. Otherwise, anything else that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
yeah,
Other
yeah,
than maybe some canned tomatoes, I eat canned vegetables. I've never eaten that.
no can I didn't I used to didn't use canned or frozen. So,
Yeah.
all of my veggies, anything that was going alongside of my food, my meat, was something I was going to the store buying 2 times a week at least.
Mhm.
Had to get we had to buy it fresh. It wasn't like I would, 'cause stuff like that don't keep forever. You bought what you needed for the 3 days that you was gonna make these meals, and then you had to,
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
buy the vegetables that you needed for the next 2 or 3 days or whatever. So, I was always in the grocery store.
Yeah. I
Then
mean, I would do I never did canned though. But yeah, it does take you back to the grocery store a little bit more often when you're shopping that perimeter. That's the thing. I think I don't know if ever the closest thing to processed foods that I bought like relatively consistently was maybe lunch.
mm,
For sandwiches for lunch or whatever.
yeah.
Um That was probably my most consistent processed food buy, but that's like the worst thing you could ever eat. Well, I don't say it's the worst, but it's right up there. That's like eating McDonald's. You might as well just go to McDonald's every day if you're gonna buy some lunch meat and eat it. So
If you
I
weren't buying it
it's so
from,
funny because over the
buying a
years,
deli.
huh?
If you weren't buying deli boar's head or something, and that's what I would buy. It'd be like so the price if you're gonna buy meats, you wanna buy you it depends different companies, the meat was much more processed in certain companies with other
Yes,
companies, the meat was fresher, and it wasn't
yes,
pressed or processed or meat parts. And
right.
so but then you're paying more money for that. So that's the trade-off. The trade-off is time and money. You're gonna spend more
Yeah.
money and you'll spend more time trying to eat better.
I never understood that. How's it more expensive to just let stuff grow like it's gonna grow and pick it or then harvest it or butcher it or whatever than it is to put pesticides and all the things? Like that seems so much more expensive to me. How is healthy food more expensive than processed pesticide ridden food?
Because you don't
How?
process as much of it. So if I process peas and I'm canning them and I'm preserving them, I don't have to process as many peas because my buyers are going I know exactly how much I need to make these canned peas. Well, how much I need to grow to make these canned peas that I'm gonna be putting out for, and that's easier to manage versus a farm that's farm to table. You never know how people are going to consume it, how often they're going to need to come back, if your crop is going to survive. Like there are things that just if you have any kind of eh, monkey wrench in your program where your crop doesn't produce as much, now your vegetables are going to go up. Like all that's going to happen. Whereas if I'm growing peas for a canned pea company, I know I got these peas, and as long as I can maintain this amount to manufacture and preserve, then I'm good.
Hmm.
So I'm a little bit
This
more, and
is
if it makes
why organic is even organic fruits and vegetables. Price of that is just yeesh.
because it's so hard to do. And that's another truth that we have to come to grips with too in America. And this is something I learned some years ago when I was juicing. And I was doing some research during that time. And I had become a heavy juicer. And I was watching this video about uh, um, Monsanto. Child, this might get us banned, but Monsanto, it large corporation who produces seeds for a lot of farmers in this country, and a lot of the seeds were soy based, and it's a whole thing. But if you don't buy Monsanto seeds, um, because there are a lot of them are GMO seeds. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so farmers who are buying Monsanto seeds, organic farmers, independent farmers, were being pushed out of the seed purchasing market because Monsanto had taken over the market. So it's a whole like documentary on it. But long story short is because the majority of the farms had sold out to Monsanto, and most of them use pesticides in order for them to keep their crops alive. They're pesticide using farms. Even if you're that one independent farmer in the middle of 5 other farmers who are using these seeds and using pesticides as well, it can't it the same bees, the same birds is pollinating your stuff. So if you're right, so if that farmer 10 miles down the road is, and so that's why they can't, not only can they not say that it's organic, but they can't definitively say that it's non-GMO because when you get these animals pollinating, bees pollinating, cross pollination, all that kind of stuff, and other people's farms and stuff, with it comes the GMO and the pesticide, you know, whatever that whatever that is in those plants. And it's being cross pollinated with independent farmers who are wanting to be organic, wanting to be non GMO, but it's difficult because you're in a landmine of other people who are not following the same thing. And so it just costs so much more. So you got to put up special stuff. You got to do all kinds of things in order for you to maintain a real and true organic situation, which is
Yeah, and
expensive.
I can say right. And that kind of circles us back around to why it's so hard, right? Because even if you want to try and buy organic and you're making those efforts, right, to go to the grocery store, buy this, go even going to Whole Foods. Because when you go to Whole Foods now, everything's not organic. You got to find the organic stuff at Whole Foods and pray, cross your fingers and hope that it's really organic or hope that it hasn't been cross pollinated or even hope that they're telling the truth on the package. Because with some of this non-GMO meats and grass-fed this and da-da-da, you're trusting the people
Right, 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 right.
that it is what they said it is, right?
And
So
you know
that
better,
makes
but you ain't never seen no chickens that big. You ain't never seen no muscular cows that muscular. Like
you
really,
see that chicken that looked like a boxer? Did you see that? That was so I was like, there's no way in the world they're
but
letting
that is
that
a real
re
chicken in Turkey. That's a chicken not from this country, and it's a chicken that they breed. It's not an American chicken. It's not like a that's a
I
different.
agree that I saw that, but there was this rooster, and he looked like
Oh, I believe
Mike
it.
Tyson prime.
Them steroids.
He was gigantic and scary. And I was like, they're letting him sire all of these chickens.
With his steroids.
It's just it's ridiculous. So even when you're making the effort, because right, we also live in this we live in New Jersey. Well, I live in New Jersey, you live in Virginia. New Jersey used to be called the Garden State. Cannot call New Jersey the Garden State anymore. Every time you turn a corner, there's a new development going up, and the developments are going up, and these houses have less yard space. They have less, if they have a yard at all. So you can't even grow your own vegetables, really, if you live in a certain region. If you want,
Right. Well, I was driving
right?
every
Let alone
Fort
have your
driving
livestock.
yeah, driving down Fort Dix every day in the area that I was driving in for work this summer though. I mean, that's all that I was passing. The sad thing is the farms are, not are dying but for those same reasons that I said earlier. I think um in New Jersey, and I'm gonna tell you this, and it would just probably freak people out, is way more of a garden state that contributes to agricultural and food, right? Food and agriculture than does Virginia, where they had
Oh
slaves.
yeah,
Like, listen, ain't no food being grown in it.
absolutely.
Not this,
And no,
not
and those areas, right? And those areas closer to the base, they're restricting some of them can't develop because of But like where I live, a little not even that far from base, maybe 20 minutes from the base, 15, 20 minutes from the base. Every single farm that was on the main road where I live has either been sold or has a for sale sign on
sad.
it. Driving down the 541, all of those huge, gigantic, wide open spaces that were farms before they were sold were barren, and now
Mhm.
they're being developed,
Yep.
right? So even buying a house is in some regions of the country, it's very difficult to find a space where you have room to grow a garden or have room to you definitely don't have no space for no livestock, you know. Um, so you trust the fact that when you go to the grocery store and you're buying organic or you're buying non-GMO or you're buying non-hormonal or pasture raised or grass fed or whatever, that it is that. Because we're talking about getting not just for weight loss purposes or for weight management, but it's also for like your overall health and in ingesting those things are very detrimental. They're cancer causing carcinogens and like if y'all read some of these ingredients on the back of the box,
And I
they
think
have more syllables and consonants than like they're not good for us. And they're in there though. And people are eating them every day.
yeah. I mean, if the state of affairs, it's like being bamboozled for sure. And just but it's been subtly happening over time, and because, like I said, I think it's like, it's a distraction technique. I got you looking over here while I'm tearing down a whole system over here that is way more
Oh, for
important,
sure.
right? And so I think
Right.
what happens is we're looking in one direction and we're not realizing that the farms are coming down and that we're losing space and that big business and industry is taking over and moving people into these very to stackable living. Um, and that people are not able to um that sense of freedom and stuff to be able to have your own, grow your own, and do is not encouraged. So those things are not. It's subtle. It's been
So
subtly.
right. So
uh,
with all of these things working against us, that makes it like I I was thinking about this the other day after that conversation with our other sister Talisha. Um, I have to believe because if I don't, I will freak myself out and be completely overwhelmed trying to do the right thing, trying to eat healthy, trying to make sure I'm putting good things in my body. Because I think we talked about this in one of our other episodes. Like, I don't have no space for no juicer. I can't buy and I'm not buying no $6 or $7 juicer to put in my kitchen. I'll have space. But even if I did, what am I juicing? What am I putting in my juicer? Is it really organic or not? Like, so instead of because that was my hindrance. My number one hindrance was I don't know what to do. Like,
yeah. I mean, I
I don't
didn't
know
think
what to buy. I don't know what to
I have
do
a
with
whole
it when
video.
I buy it.
You too. I
Huh?
when I did my juicing thing, I did whole videos on YouTube that explain all of that from budgeting to like, I mean, really nice videos. They were a little edited with little pictures rolling in and things rolling out. If you go watch it, but explaining all of that on there after doing the research, and it's not as difficult as you think. I think that's the point, right? It comes off as being really overwhelming. It's not as expensive as you think. When I juiced and I did the reboot itself, I think it may have cost me $100 a week, which is not anymore. And I spend 250, almost to 300 sometimes dollars and every other week or something like that. No, sometimes I could spend at least $200 a week on groceries if I needed to, if I cooked every day. Easy. But juicing, getting into a regimen or whatever is not difficult. And I think it's it's understanding that what does our body need? What do we not eat the most of? For me, as much as I love vegetables, I could not get the nutrition from a vegetable as much as you would get 10 times more from juicing it. And I'm not a big fruits eater. I'm not a big meat eater, period. But when do I mean, you just learn simple things like when do you need carbohydrates most in the daytime? So if you're going to juice, you juice your greens, you make smoothies out of your sweet things and your fruit, and you do that in the morning. You do that in the morning because you need that energy.
Right.
And the
So
day progresses, you put in your
the
nutrition.
house, we'll talk about the house next week. The hindrance is though, even with that, it's not so much as it wasn't the expense of it for me. It was the can I really trust what I'm buying?
Oh, I mean, that's up in the air everywhere. So you have to know how to clean it. You have to just know that. you can't, I mean, you do the best to believe what it is you're buying. If you're not growing it yourself, no, you can't trust it. But the reality, that's my beliefs. Like you can't trust it if you're not growing it. I was a Whole Foods kid. Like that was like when I was doing that juicing thing and went on that naturopathic thing for a while. I only shopped at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. Now Whole Foods has been taken over by Amazon, so you don't know if you're getting your food from a warehouse or you're getting it from, and you don't even know where it's coming from. So Whole Foods had a manufacturer at one time. What happened to them? Then when it became acquired by Amazon, who now is their manufacturer and how do I know you're putting because you're putting organic on it, that's organic. So I don't know. And I think that those are the tricky things. Like I don't know who's regulating any of those kinds of things. I haven't purchased from Whole Foods since they became a part of the whole Amazon thing, unless I have to. And so I try to find other places that I know um they get their food from a very specific place. So other markets like that, or I even trust like foreign markets, like Lidl's and places like that, where their food comes in a lot of times from out of the country. So, because I know that they have less additives, less preservatives, because a lot of what we use over here is banned in other countries. So, like a Lidl's, that's I think it's a German-based
German, yeah, they're German.
grocery store. Um, and so I used to go when I stopped doing that, I found Lidl's an awesome place to go. And when I found out that Aldi's and Trader Joe's are owned by brothers and that they get their stuff from a lot of the same places, I stopped having to drive all the way to the one Trader Joe's and would go to Aldi's. Right. Um, so it's just knowing you just have to learn the tricks, and then when you get your food home, you got to figure out, ways and means to draw, how long to soak it, all that kind of stuff matters before you juice it. But and that's what makes it the preparation, all that stuff, the timing, an issue because you have to do all those things. You gotta research, you gotta look, you gotta pay attention, you gotta see the trends and what's changing. You gotta know, like I said, you gotta know when Whole Foods get handed over to Amazon, the food probably not gonna be the same. Right. So, you
I
have to
was
know
so
that.
mad about Whole Foods one day. I was like,
I was so
"This
mad.
ain't Whole. This looks like an
I definitely
Amazon
can't
store."
order offline, right, I can't order offline anymore, I did that, I made the mistake of ordering from Whole Foods offline, and of course, it has to be coming from an Amazon warehouse. So, if I'm gonna do Whole Foods, I'm gonna go to the store.
Yeah.
Um
So, so in addition to thinking about all of that, I was thinking the other day too that okay, God created heaven and earth, Eden and all the things, and of course, none of this is the way that God originally intended for it to be. None of it, right? And that's all of man's doing. People who were here thousands of years before we were made decisions, changed stuff up, stuff has happened. We were born where we were born, and boom, here we are, right? So I have to believe, for I choose to believe, in order to quiet the overwhelmingness in my head. Is that a word? I made it
Mhm,
up.
you did.
It's okay.
I got
It's all right.
cold.
We do that.
I'm pulling covers because I done got cold sitting up here. I don't know what
Why is it so low? You call
freezing right now,
so
but
the
go ahead.
so to quiet the overwhelmingness in my head. I was praying about the other day, and I was like, "Well, Lord, grace is not just for sin, right? Grace has to be a whole. If this is the dispensation of grace, it has to apply to more than just our ability to, be saved and make it into. So if I'm choosing not to eat McDonald's, I'm choosing not to go to Wendy's, I'm choosing not to do those things. I'm going to the grocery store and I'm buying the fruits and the vegetables, and I don't juice my orange, but I eat my orange. I don't juice my apple, but I eat my apple. And I wash and I clean my vegetables very good, and I try to my best to clean meats and fish and food, and I'm not buying the processed food, and I'm doing those things. It can is there grace for that, right?
Well, that's because what
Like,
scripture says that there is. The Bible says that where sin abounds, grace much more abounds. Why are we in the condition that we're in, even when it comes down to our food? Sin, right? We're we're in a nation and evil people exist. And so if it's going capitalism exists, if it's about money and making more money and controlling people's lives and doing these things, people who are in control are going to continue to do that, and they're going to use our everything to do that. So food is included, and so sin abounds, grace much more abounds, right? For the believer, I think where it comes into play is I can't consciously though. Once I'm aware of something though, once I have the knowledge of something, it's I'm responsible for what I know. So the entrance of the word, right, or wisdom, and it brings light. So once that light comes, you can't go back to dark places. You have to do better,
Mm.
right? Do better wherever it is. You're duty bound to do better, as Daddy would say.
Right.
Um, no, but you're duty bound to do better, and
When your
so
daddy rep
I know, and so in that, I believe God honors us when we come to a knowledge of things being better, needing to be better and do better. Like
Yeah.
we have, and we're doing that part, then that's where grace meets us. Grace meets us at the point of our active faith. And
Mhm.
active, is saying, I have new information about things that can heal me. You know, I have new
Mhm.
information about staying healthier and staying healed. Um, I cannot function at 400 pounds. I cannot function at a death trap and a level 300, 250 pounds if I'm not working on trying to be healthy in it, right? I cannot do that and think that my body that God created is going to stay lined up and in order. I can't.
Right. And I think that's it though, right? In an effort to try and to do the right thing and while you're also trying to quiet the noise of the overwhelming part, first do the right thing to the best of your ability, right? Because we don't, like I said, we don't know who's controlling what anymore. Like, I don't know. I mean, and yes, I could probably dive and find out, but is it going to change the fact that when I go to Whole Foods that it's not going to be I'm owned by Amazon? No, it's not. Me knowing that doesn't change the fact that I don't know whether or not that food is organic or not, right? It doesn't change it. Me knowing that information. So I think for me, in order for me to kind of settle in my effort to do better, I have to remember I was freaking myself out, like just not eating. Like there was a whole like 3 days where my caloric intake was like so low, I almost passed out because I was like, I don't want to eat it. I don't know what to do.
Well,
So let's just eat this apple and eat these peaches and just because I know for me, my protein levels, I wasn't eating enough protein. It's really what it was. It wasn't I wasn't eating, but I wasn't getting enough protein. And so I didn't know how to fix that, because I was like, well, I'm just not gonna eat meat. But God was like, why?
so my body, so as a person who had that experience as well, like I was vegan for many years, um, like vegetarian, not vegan, pescatarian,
Mhm.
but for many years I didn't, and I remember, the family remembers I didn't eat red meat, I didn't eat pork, I didn't eat chicken, and I didn't eat turkey. I eat vegetables and fish, and then I reincorporated. I got sick and started to incorporate chicken and turkey back into my life, but wouldn't eat anything else. Um, that but I had to learn that instance and that experience taught me to listen to my body, and that's the other thing that people have a hard time doing, right? Understanding and listening to their bodies. When I get so if there are certain things that I know about myself, I don't have a sweet tooth per se.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't necessarily need sweets in my life. I don't eat them. I don't crave them. It's not something that I struggle with. Um,
Mm-mm.
and I mean at all, really. I don't anything too sweet makes me nauseous and I want to throw up. So I don't know what the
Especially if
Lord
it's
'cause
artificial sweet. I can do sweet fruits, but artificially sweetened stuff I can't. It's
I'm
too
not even a
much.
super fan of fruits. There are particular fruits that I like because I just like them. Uh,
Mm,
I have to have a taste for them. Um,
mm, mm.
I could, so I have to be mindful even of stuff like that, like because I won't. It's okay. Um, but I used to drink wine a lot, and I used to drink, I'm drinking alcohol, and people don't think that that turns into sugar, but it does. And I ate a lot of bread time in my life, and that's just as bad as eating a whole cake. So, what's the difference, right? So your glycemic counts and stuff like that. So knowing that while I thought because I didn't crave, my point is, I thought because I didn't crave sweets that I in some way it was great, right? Like I had some like superpower over sweets and sugar in my body, and I would never have to worry about that.
Right.
But I drank wine and I ate a lot of bread, and it was turning the sugar in my body. It was causing me a problem. So I had to learn that my craving for sugar was being met with foods that didn't taste sweet. And but it took like I had to have an aha moment with that in my life. And when I did, that's when I realized that I don't crave sweets because my sugar intake is met in other ways. And but when I don't have those things, I want something. Every once in a while, I want something. I find myself wanting something sweet. And so it's just learning too what your body's asking for, why, and what may, when you're craving. Um, well, I didn't realize it. Sometimes I just want something salty because my potassium's too low. My potassium's low, or my potassium and magnesium are low. Um, I used to have pica, which is a eating disorder. Eat things 9 times out of 10 because you have low iron. You're iron deficient. So when you're iron deficient, it causes you to crave strange things, like people chew chalk, or people chew aluminum foil, or I used to eat cornstarch. It had to be cold. It had to be
And to be cold, like a nice icy drink.
Yes, it had to be cold and crunchy. When I discovered white clay dirt, honey, I was in heaven.
Yeah, I
But
discovered
I used to
white clay
buy
dirt.
it, import it from Georgia, and
I
eat it.
know.
And it looked like cocaine. It looked like crack. I was so scared somebody was gonna pull me over. That made me realize that one day. She's like, "Somebody gonna pull you over and look and see them bags in the back, and they're gonna arrest you thinking it's crack." Because it did. It looked like crack
I
cocaine.
never thought about that. It did look like crack.
It looked like crack. And I used
It
to
did
drive
look
around
like
in my car. Yep, in the back of my car, eating it. And,
could
but
you imagine having it laying down on the side of the highway?
no, right? Well, that's not really crack. That's white
Well,
clay dirt
officer,
that
wait a minute.
I
That's right, clay dirt. He be like, "What? He would have been locked up."
white clay dirt from Georgia. Yeah, ma'am, right. You buy that to eat, you must be smoking grind, right? So,
That's
you eat
hilarious.
dirt around here? So, explaining that kinda stuff would have been crazy, but I didn't know for a long time I was severely anemic because I had adenomyosis. I would come on my period for days and days and days, and excessive bleeding caused me to be anemic, and I didn't realize it. And I was super
Yeah,
anemic, and, had a major bad iron deficiency. And I was eating weird stuff. It's like dirt and cornstarch. And so you don't know those things until you know those things, right? And so you run around crazy. And so I think our bodies, knowing our bodies, that was a point I was making. Understanding your body, understanding what some of the things that are going on, um, can also help you master some of the other struggles that you have when it comes out. But it goes back to those 3 things: the research, the time, and the money. Because 'Cause you're gonna have to
mhm.
spend and take time to improve.
And a little trial and error.
Trial and error, for sure,
Little and try. You gotta be patient
for sure.
to go through, because not that because you gotta remember too, you're undoing a lot of stuff. You're undoing and trying to do at the same time. Also, I can't remember what it was because I didn't look at the whole thing, but it was like one of these health gurus, trusted dude, said something about, being careful about following these trends and these influencers because you start putting all this stuff in your body and you don't even know what your body's lacking, but you're just doing all these things. And because somebody on the internet told you to do it, and now
Yeah.
you're putting, and it's overload, so it's not even benefiting you.
Nope.
So, got a whole, you know what I mean? So it's good to go and get like a good, really good blood workup and things like that. and to find out what's going on with you. And there's certain panels of blood workups that you should get at certain ages, and if you're a female, if you're male, and all of that matters.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you should
no, what
really
requires
start thinking about.
yeah,
Yeah, it requires effort. It requires effort. And also you got to be willing to move your body at some point. It's hard to find the time, but even if you just get up every day at the end of your day or beginning of your day and just take a 30-minute walk.
yeah,
Because what I learned about walking, why is it so beneficial for you is because of how many muscles that get engaged when you walk in your core and all of those things. A lot of research says that walking is a lot better than jogging for you because you're not like bouncing off your feet so fast. Like it's a whole science behind it. So if you want to know about it, go look it up. But do something every day where you're also moving, because I think that's the other hindrance, right? It's not just getting the right things in your body, but you're also gonna have to do something to make sure that your body is moving, because it's not just about health, but it's also about mobility. Because as you get older, if you're not moving and you're not doing anything, your body's gonna like stiffen up on you,
sure.
and your knees are gonna stop kneeing, and your hips are gonna stop hipping, and your feet are gonna stop doing what they're supposed to do, and you just gotta stay mobile.
Yeah,
But it's
and
hard. It's hard to feel like you have time.
so I'm excited because some night one of my goals was to take out my clothes for the week and then to pack a bag to put 3 workout outfits in the bag and 2 pairs of I don't know what for feet shoes, but um I mean I have a couple pair of sneakers that are too big, and put those sneakers in there, but so that I can go to the gym at some point during the course of my day, like right when I get off work, like that'd be my first stop, and just shoot in there for
Yeah.
an hour. And
And
then
that takes away.
get
Yep.
up 30 earlier in the morning and take a brief, brisk morning walk. And I want to kind of make that my habit. So if I don't make it to the gym, I've gotten up in the morning, a half hour early, and I've gotten my little brisk morning walk in, and I'm out here moving my body like to do something. There are so many things now too, stuff that I discovered even on like Netflix. Netflix has a whole aerobics and workout section of Netflix, and if you pull it up, 15-minute cardios, all kinds of workout things you can do, and then like
At
you
5,
can do
they'll all kind of weights.
yeah, yeah, and I have all that stuff too. I got all the weights and the pulling
Right?
things, like 5
So
pound weight, the 5 pound weights, the 10 pound weights. Um, the stretch bands, I have all that stuff, but the resistance bands. So you just kind of jump on. The one thing I want to get is like a step thing, but so I could do step
uh,
aerobic.
Felicia
With
hates that. She hates the whole step and dancing thing. Like she can't
because she
used
can't
to
do it.
send her videos and like, "Stop singing," like, it takes her out. She hates it so much.
Why?
She can't. She doesn't like it, 'cause, they have all these step aerobics now. We could, like, R&B and it's dance moves, and it's, like, dancing made healthy. Uh, nope. She don't ever ask her about it, please.
You need to ask her
She's gonna
about
be
why she
like,
doesn't
"I
like
can't."
it. Why is
So
that's one of my favorite
I do
candies.
too. That's why I was sending it to her. I like it. I was like, let me see if I got somebody on YouTube who could, honey, because I sent it to her because I wanted her to do it with me. She was like, I'm not doing
Right.
that.
Now you know what
She
I
can't put
thought
her
was gonna
finger
be
on
the
it. She don't
craze.
know why.
Now you know the one thing I bought a whole thing. It was a rebounder because I was so excited about the rebounding thing. Girl, I got on that thing one time. I
That.
said, no man,
What
no.
is that?
Pay for something else for it. That thing you jump on with the springs. It's round.
Like a
It's a
trip?
rebound, like a trampoline. It's a trampoline. But they call it rebounders because they're like it's an individual trampoline. Just one
Yeah, yeah,
person.
yeah.
And I like watching those work out too. Okay, that is hard. That just kinda hard. I just was like, "No, ma'am. I cannot do it." Like, just the way you gotta yeah, not the way you gotta jump and do. I said, I don't have I can't get the groove of it. I could not get the groove of it. But this is my surgery too, some other happen, but to my body where I can't do an elliptical. I can't get the groove of the little bounce thing. It's just like because I
Oh
don't
my
the body doesn't
god.
do this. Like, it does it when I'm
Oh, that
looking at
that
that motion
coordination.
where my
Yeah,
legs and foot do it at the same time.
at the
I
same
can't
time. That's weird.
doesn't because this left side is
Yeah,
it do
that's weird.
what's
That's weird.
tight.
So we listen. We thank you guys so much for joining us as we're wrapping this particular segment of our series. Do you have a be mindful moment as we go into the end of our hindrances segment of the doing the work series?
Right? I you know what? Um, the be mindful moment that I had was just one that we were taught as kids. I could hear Bob say it all the time. Hey, Snakes ways, baby.
Yep.
Um, haste makes waste.
Yes. Face
Um,
makes waste.
but it does, and it's like to slow down, right? To give myself the opportunity to slow down, to get off my screen, to get out of the rigmarole of the fast-paced living, and slow myself down. And in doing that, I can re-engage with planning meals, enjoying
Mhm.
food, um, staying in touch with myself, and being in the moment, not eating, uh, not living to eat, but eating to live. And so, yeah, that might be my phone. Haste makes haste makes
That's
waste.
cool. It makes waste, baby. I don't know. I think my be mindful moment is to not be so hard on yourself. To do the right things. Start somewhere and to give yourself a little grace. Not too much grace that you're running over to McDonald's, but but start somewhere, whether it's with the food or whether it's with the movement, or whether if it's just making sure that one meal a day you're making sort of concerted effort to make it as healthy as you can. Because I get it. I know, like for me, meal planning is stressful to me. Don't have to do it in shifts. Like today I went to Trader Joe's and I just bought what I know I wanted to eat for lunch for 2 days, and I can manage that. I can manage that. And, that means I may have to go back to the grocery store in 2 days, but as long as I know that I have to do that, I can put it in my day and, so just start somewhere and make sure you try to do it every day so that you can start building because that's really what it's about, right? Finding new habits because the things that we do are just habitual. And if we can break the bad habit, start good habits, then, we'll be on our way to feeling a lot less overwhelmed about, being mindful about what we eat and how we move our bodies. Oh, and stretching at night, that's something I started doing, like being very deliberate about because it helps with 2 things. It helps me kind of body down and stretch my body out and it helps with my mobility, but it also tells my brain that it's time to slow down
Yeah, and I'm gonna
and
go to
and
this
start
lab. That's what I'm gonna do this week. I'm
stretch
gonna
lab.
make my appointment at the stretch lab so they can give me some
Yeah, yeah,
stretches,
they're good.
stretch me out. They'll stretch you out. They'll put out a together plan with you together. And you'll go for as long as you need to go, and then they'll help you do the stretches, and then you do them on your own. So I want to go to stretch lab.
Yeah, so just, just a couple 1 or 2 things that you can do to throw into your day, or if it's just 3 times a day or just Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Just start trying to build a new habit for yourself or for your family, and then, you'd be surprised how over time that will create, a more healthy environment, right? So we thank y'all for joining us on this episode of Church Cross Chronicles. It's been so great to be back with you. Look forward to seeing you again next as we continue this series doing the work. Next week we're talking about wait, I had it up and then I lost it. Where is it? Next week's topic is eating by faith, right? So we talked about our hindrances today. Next week we're going to talk about eating by faith, and we're going to continue this series for the rest of September. But please like, comment, and share.
Please like, comment, and share. We need you to do that.
Yeah, especially over there on that that Instagram page, TikTok,
Instagram,
Facebook,
like, comment,
YouTube,
and share, please, in our Instagram. That is
Facebook.
like important.
Please, please, we need you guys' support. And thank you so much for your support so far for joining us here in Church Girls Chronicles, because you could be doing a million other things, but you take time out of your night to spend time with us. We're so grateful. Thank you. We love you guys. We'll see you
Yes.
next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye now.
Okay, so where's the break? Oh, right. Yeah. So, I guess I thought this. Like that, right? I don't know. Hey, Greg. Not to tell right now. I'm a little bit busy with life.